What if the strongest attraction you feel is not love at all, but a carefully engineered emotional reaction? What if the person who seems magnetic, mysterious, and impossible to forget is not pulling you closer through real connection, but through confusion, uncertainty, and psychological pressure? That is what makes dark psychology in attraction so dangerous. It does not always look evil in the beginning. Sometimes it looks charming. Sometimes it looks like confidence. Sometimes it even looks like passion. But underneath, it can be a system of emotional manipulation that makes people crave what is not good for them. Psychology research shows that uncertainty can intensify romantic attraction, partly because it increases how much people think about the other person, while experts also warn that manipulative dating patterns such as breadcrumbing use intermittent reinforcement to keep people emotionally invested. In this video, we are not learning how to manipulate. We are learning how manipulation works, why it works, and how to recognize the difference between real attraction and psychological control. Dark psychology attraction tricks work because human beings are not drawn only to kindness, beauty, or compatibility. We are also powerfully affected by anticipation, emotional contrast, and uncertainty. Real attraction often grows through trust, emotional safety, and reciprocity. Manipulative attraction often grows through tension, unpredictability, and the constant feeling that something important is just out of reach. That feeling can be mistaken for chemistry, when in reality it is closer to psychological activation. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that when people were uncertain whether someone liked them, they became more attracted and thought about that person more than those who were given clear positive feedback. In other words, uncertainty itself can intensify desire. That is the first truth many people never realize. The mind does not always chase what is healthy. Sometimes it chases what feels unresolved. A person who sends mixed signals can become more mentally consuming than a person who is stable and sincere. Not because they are more valuable, but because the brain is trying to solve an emotional puzzle. This is one reason manipulative patterns can feel so addictive. Modern relationship experts describe breadcrumbing in a similar way. Small, inconsistent doses of attention keep someone emotionally hooked, because the reward is unpredictable. Cleveland Clinic specifically explains breadcrumbing through intermittent reinforcement, the same basic pattern that makes uncertain rewards so hard to walk away from. This is where dark psychology becomes dangerous in dating. It exploits natural vulnerabilities in human attention and attachment. A manipulative person may not openly insult you or threaten you at first. They may do something far more subtle. They may make you feel unusually seen, then suddenly distant. They may create emotional highs, then disappear. They may mirror your values, your humor, your dreams, and your wounds, making it seem as if you have found someone who understands you at a rare and almost spiritual level. Then, once emotional dependence begins to form, the warmth becomes inconsistent. The target starts chasing the version of the person they met at the beginning. This pattern matters because the brain is built to respond strongly to reward and anticipation. The psychology of love involves motivational and reward systems that overlap with basic drives for bonding and well-being, which helps explain why romantic attachment can feel so consuming. When attention, validation, and affection are given unpredictably, the emotional system can become hyperfocused. The person being manipulated starts checking messages more often, replaying conversations, searching for clues, and blaming themselves for the inconsistency. They think they are falling deeper in love, but often they are falling deeper into instability. One of the darkest parts of this dynamic is that it can imitate passion. Intensity is easy to confuse with depth. Fast escalation can be confused with destiny. Emotional volatility can be confused with genuine feeling. But real attraction does not need confusion to survive. Real interest becomes clearer over time. Manipulative interest becomes more disorienting. Healthy attraction may feel exciting, but it also feels coherent. You do not have to decode it every night. You do not have to perform for it. You do not have to earn basic respect from it. And this is why the warning matters. Dark psychology attraction tricks are effective not because the victim is weak, foolish, or naive. They are effective because they exploit very human mechanisms. People want to be chosen. People want emotional certainty. People want to believe that intense attention means deep care. When those needs are activated by someone skilled in inconsistency, the result can feel like obsession disguised as romance. The danger is not just heartbreak. The danger is that manipulation can retrain your sense of what attraction is supposed to feel like. After enough emotional confusion, calm love can start to feel boring, and emotional chaos can start to feel meaningful. The most important shift begins here. Do not ask only, "Why am I so attracted to this person?" Ask, "What emotional pattern is creating this attraction?" That question changes everything. Because once you see the mechanism, the illusion starts to weaken. And once the illusion weakens, you stop mistaking psychological control for love. The reason these attraction tricks feel so powerful is not simply because someone is persuasive. It is because they activate some of the most sensitive systems in the human mind at the same time. They trigger attention, reward, insecurity, hope, and self-doubt in one emotional loop. That is why people caught in manipulative attraction often say the same thing: "I know this is not good for me, but I still can't stop thinking about them." That reaction is not imaginary. It reflects a real psychological pattern in which uncertainty increases mental preoccupation, and preoccupation can make attraction feel stronger than it actually is. The 2011 study on romantic uncertainty found exactly that. People in the uncertain condition thought more about the target person, and that increased attraction. This is where mixed signals become a weapon. A manipulative person does not need to be consistently loving. In fact, consistency would reduce the emotional chase. What keeps the target hooked is the alternation between warmth and distance. One day there is intense attention, private jokes, emotional intimacy, and the feeling of being uniquely understood. Then suddenly there is silence, vagueness, or emotional withdrawal. That contrast creates instability, and instability often produces obsessive thinking. Cleveland Clinic describes breadcrumbing in almost exactly these terms, noting that intermittent reinforcement creates a cycle of hope and disappointment that keeps a person invested even when the relationship is not truly progressing. What makes this especially dangerous is that many people misread the stress response as evidence of deep emotional importance. They think, "I feel this person so strongly, so this must mean the connection is real." But emotional intensity is not proof of emotional truth. Sometimes it is just proof that your nervous system has been activated. When affection is inconsistent, the brain keeps scanning for signals. It replays conversations. It overinterprets pauses. It searches for meaning in tiny changes of tone. Instead of receiving love, the person begins managing uncertainty. And the more mental energy they spend, the more valuable the connection appears in their own mind. That is how manipulation can create the illusion of rare chemistry. Another reason these tactics work is that they often begin with a flood of validation. In the early stage, the manipulative person may seem unusually attentive. They notice everything. They mirror your values, your humor, even your pain. They make you feel chosen. This matters because human beings are deeply responsive to recognition. To feel seen is powerful. To feel intensely seen is even more powerful. But healthy recognition unfolds with consistency and respect. Manipulative recognition is often strategic. It creates fast emotional closeness before trust has had time to grow naturally. Once the bond forms, the attention becomes less stable, and the target starts chasing the original feeling. The emotional damage comes from confusion more than from open cruelty. Many people expect manipulation to look obvious, loud, and aggressive. But in real life, it often looks polished. It looks charismatic. It looks romantic. That is why it can take so long to recognize. The person being affected may not say, "I am being manipulated." They are more likely to say, "Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe if I handle this better, things will go back to how they were." That self-blame is part of the trap. Instead of questioning the pattern, they question themselves. And this is the deeper warning. Dark psychology attraction tricks do not just distort your view of one person. They can distort your definition of attraction itself. After enough exposure to emotional inconsistency, peace can feel flat. Reliability can feel less exciting. You may begin to associate love with anxiety, waiting, and emotional guessing. But that is not love. That is conditioning. Real connection does not depend on confusion to stay alive. Real attraction may be exciting, but it does not require you to lose your emotional center in order to feel it. So how do you tell the difference between real attraction and psychological manipulation? The answer is simpler than most people expect, but harder to accept when emotions are already involved. Real attraction brings clarity over time. Manipulative attraction brings confusion over time. In a healthy connection, even if there is mystery at the beginning, the overall direction becomes more stable. You feel more secure, not less. You understand where you stand more clearly, not more vaguely. You do not spend your energy constantly decoding silence, emotional shifts, or disappearing attention. With real attraction, your nervous system may feel excited, but it does not stay trapped in chronic tension. That difference matters because manipulation survives on ambiguity. It needs you to keep questioning. It needs you to keep hoping. It needs you to believe that one more conversation, one more chance, one more perfect response will finally unlock the warmth you felt in the beginning. But healthy attraction is not a locked door you must suffer to open. It is not a reward system that keeps punishing you between moments of affection. It is not a test of how much anxiety you can tolerate before someone finally gives you reassurance. The moment attraction starts feeding on your insecurity more than your growth, something has already gone wrong. One of the clearest signs of dark psychology in attraction is when your emotional world starts revolving around unpredictability. You are no longer enjoying connection. You are managing instability. You begin checking your phone not with joy, but with tension. A delayed message changes your mood. A brief moment of attention feels like emotional oxygen. A cold reply feels like personal failure. At that point, the person does not merely occupy your heart. They occupy your nervous system. And that is why these tricks can be so difficult to escape. You are not only attached to a person. You are reacting to a cycle. Another sign is that your self-respect slowly becomes negotiable. In the beginning, you may have had standards, boundaries, and a strong sense of what you deserve. But under manipulative attraction, those boundaries often start moving. You excuse behavior you would once have rejected. You accept less honesty, less consistency, less care. You tell yourself the connection is special, so normal rules should not apply. But that is exactly how emotional power shifts. The more you adapt yourself to someone else's inconsistency, the more control they gain without ever openly asking for it. There is also a profound emotional cost that many people do not notice until much later. Manipulative attraction can leave behind more than heartbreak. It can damage your trust in your own judgment. After a relationship built on mixed signals and emotional confusion, many people stop trusting what they feel. They become suspicious of their own instincts. They wonder whether they are too emotional, too needy, too sensitive, or too hopeful. But often the real problem was not their sensitivity. The real problem was that their sensitivity was used against them. The ability to feel deeply is not a weakness. It only becomes dangerous when it is handed to someone who treats emotional access like a tool of control. This is why the final lesson is not just about avoiding manipulative people. It is about redefining attraction itself. Attraction is not only about intensity. It is about direction. Is this connection pulling you toward confidence, truth, and emotional steadiness, or is it pulling you toward anxiety, obsession, and self-erasure? That question can save years of confusion. Because the most dangerous attraction is not the one that hurts immediately. It is the one that slowly teaches you to betray yourself in the name of love. And maybe that is the most important warning of all. Dark psychology attraction tricks are powerful because they imitate emotional significance. They make confusion feel profound. They make instability feel exciting. They make you believe that suffering is evidence of depth. But real connection does not ask you to lose yourself in order to keep it. Real attraction does not thrive on your fear of abandonment. Real intimacy does not depend on uncertainty to feel alive. The right connection may still challenge you, surprise you, even humble you. But it will not systematically weaken your peace. So when someone feels unforgettable, do not ask only how strongly you feel them. Ask what the connection is teaching your mind, your body, and your sense of self. Is it teaching you peace or dependence? Is it teaching you trust or hypervigilance? Is it helping you become more grounded or more emotionally lost? Because the answer to that question reveals something deeper than attraction. It reveals whether what you are feeling is love or just manipulation wearing the mask of desire.